So today we have David and Beverley Lockett. Hi guys.
Hi,
Hi.
Michelle.
And so just start us off a bit about yourselves, how you got into property and how you met Tim.
It's probably best for me to start in that front, in that case, because we've been talking about getting into property for 5 years, far too long than you'd want to be thinking about, and always found a reason not to, for whatever reason. And well, there were many and varied, but largely because my brother, who's a chartered surveyor, scared us, I think, into not investing in property. But we eventually got going, went on a year-long property course. Service accommodation was my thing when I was doing that, just to get going quickly. And after 6 months of doing that, I sold my accountancy practice, because that's what I was doing at that stage. So I had a small practice that was myself and a few employees. And I just decided to get out of that. In fact, it was we were on holiday with a bottle of wine and a bottle of pastis, and I said, what should we do with the business? And it took me about a tenth of a second to say, get rid of it.
Well, I was a bit fed up with it. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely.
And
I wanted my husband back.
And now you've got him permanently.
Yeah.
So be careful for what you wish for. But we had an interesting. What was interesting is you find that there are triggers throughout your life, moments which change your life, and that was one of them, because just before we went on holiday, my coach and mentor on my training course died, and he was in his 40s and left a family behind. And it always makes me well up when I think about this one, because it was an absolute defining moment for us, that we decided, right, that's it, this is being built, because we don't want to spend our entire life working for somebody else. We want to do something for ourselves, and property is the way forward for us. So we made that decision, get out of accountancy and get into property full time. We had a few ups and downs since then, and then we decided to move into the HMO arena, and that was where William, our eldest son, got involved in the business. He had, do you want to tell that side of things? Because he had
so
a few challenges.
He had moved down to Chichester for his dream job as a sale designer, and he's an astonishing person anyway. If anybody's met him, he's a real tigger.
Yes.
And he had moved down to Chichester, not like everybody else does when you're 18, when everybody else moves for university. He was on his own, and he originally wanted a flat, and we said, no, look, a shared house is going to be better, because you'll be with other people and there'll be people at home, otherwise you're going to feel very isolated on your own. He wasn't earning a lot, so we had to find him somewhere to live, and he got offered his job on the Wednesday, and they said, can you start on the Monday? So it's like, I don't live in the area, I have to find somewhere to live. But we did manage it. We actually found it off Gumtree, and we moved him in without having seen the place. We'd just seen pictures, because obviously we don't live anywhere near Chichester, we're in the Midlands. And it was okay, but it was illegal. There were things wrong with it. There weren't fire doors, the room was very small. They had a cat that kept jumping in through the window and waking William up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. There was a very, very small kitchen that was just not big enough. There was no communal space. There was one bathroom and it was tiny. There was lots wrong with it, but it was all he could afford, and it did get him down there. And he actually made really good friends with the landlady, because she lived in and her children, so it was really good. But he obviously wanted to move. He actually lost his job. The company went into administration, and I don't know what most 19-year-olds would do, would throw their hands in the air and go, I'm going home to mum and dad. But we said, look, Will, you can come home, or you can stay there and just get a job in a pub or something. What do you want to do? And he said, no, look, I'm going to try and find a job. The company were really good and allowed him to print off loads of CVs. So he printed off, we rewrote his CV, and he printed off 60 CVs, and he literally walked from door to door in all the harbours going, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job. And the chap at Chichester Harbour said, I don't need anything, but I know this chap who might be looking for something. Why don't you go over there and I'll phone him and tell him you're on your way. So Will trotted off to this company, knocked on the door, the MD opened the door. Cut a long story short, William got offered a job. So he got a new job down there, which was just
designing high-speed boats.
Yeah, designing high-speed boats that you'd need a degree for in naval architecture, and he just got it because that's well, if you've met him, you know that's what he's like. And he then went. He moved to Chichester. He moved himself, which we were really impressed with. But again, it was a HMO that was illegal. Again, there was stuff wrong with it. This one was filthy. I mean, we went down for a weekend, and he said, "I'll make you a cup of tea," and I went,
"No, we'll go out."
We'll go out. Because it was absolutely filthy. They had dogs in the house and dog hair everywhere. His room was obviously fine, and he had an ensuite, which was fine, but the rest of the house was just awful. Again, it was illegal, no fire doors or anything like that, no proper ASTs, nothing like that. The mess and the clutter got to him, and he moved again. And this time, it was a really lovely house, and it's got a big triple garage. If you know anything about sailors, they have a lot of stuff. So it was ideal for him to store all of this stuff in. It was only 3-bed, and one of the chaps moved out, and the chap that was there was 45. He started drinking, taking drugs, lost his job. The landlord moved another 40-year-old in. He then reverted to being the same, drug taking, alcohol, music till 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, William couldn't cope. He had a mini breakdown because work wasn't going brilliantly. His home life was just not restful, awful place. And so in the end, we just said, no, come on home. So he wanted to get into property anyway. He'd recognised that those people that could sail were those that were in property. If you had a job, you could only sail at the weekend, and the weather was not brilliant. If you owned your own business, you were actually working all hours to keep that business going. And those that were in property were the ones that were sailing. So we wanted to get into property. So he came home. During his teenage angst, I called it, he was listening to this same song over and over again. I have no idea what the song is. I don't know, but it's some weird one he listens to. But a line in the song really resonated with him. It's a bit like, I've paraphrased it, everybody deserves a ruby red door. And to him, that meant that everybody deserves somewhere safe, secure and beautiful to live. And so he wanted to call the company Red Door Homes, which was, yeah, okay, that chimes with us. So he came home, we decided to call it Red Door Homes, and we'd already decided to make the switch to HMOs, but we started to build it. At that point, we then met Tim.
Well, so we've sort of known Tim for a while.
We've known him for a while
through networking events, and got to know him well. But he's a really nice, trustworthy, honest.
Read his book.
What you see is what you get, sort of person. And it was just a nice relationship. And but we said we set up Red Door Homes. Now, obviously, me having been in property for a while, me being the father of the family and the expert in absolutely everything, I was trying to run the business, and of course I'm an accountant. I know what I'm talking about business, and basically we got precisely nowhere. I was trying to do everything and control everything, and William was flapping around, not really having a role, having some great ideas but not being listened to. Beverley was sitting in the middle going, and I'm here too, and having no voice and no role and what have you. And I was swamped. I hadn't got the time to do everything. And I say we, it was certainly a lot of me, but I think we couldn't see our way forward as a business. And so we'd succeeded in service accommodation. We knew what we were doing. We knew about the fact that we were very different personality types. We had very different skills. What we didn't have was somebody going, Slap, what are you doing? You need to do this, this, and this, and because of this and this, do you see it? And that's what we needed. We had a chat with Tim, and he said, look, just come down, meet me down in our office. We'll go through a few things. We'll just redo your personality tests again, just so that you understand it, the wealth dynamics. Make sure you absolutely understand who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And then we'll look at how we can look at taking things forward. And we did, didn't we? We went down there, and we did 2 half-day sessions. And what is really interesting is I got the most benefit, without doubt, from the first half an hour session.
First half an hour?
First half session. The first session.
Yeah, it was
first
about
half day session.
4 hours we had.
First half day session. However, you got the most out of the second one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's different personality.
Absolutely. And that's the point is, it's you need different things when you're different people in different places, and you need different things. So we came away from that first session and went down to the local, very nice pub, actually, if anybody's actually going to meet Tim, get him to point you to it, the Quarryman's Arm, I think it's called.
Nice beer.
Absolutely. Good view. And it was a revelation, because we sat round and we said, we've got this business the wrong way round. William should be leading it.
What was it about that Tim pointed out that you couldn't see?
I was the wrong person to be leading the business, because I am a governor, for want of a better phrase. So if you can imagine a clock, and you take the governor out, you can see those big old Edwardian clocks and the fan that's going around governing the speed of the clock. That's me. I need time to think about things. I need time to consider things. I need to make sure the details and everything are in the right place. And we're going through things in the right order so we don't miss everything. And of course, in property, if you do that, by the time you've actually got everything up, the deal's gone. Somebody else has got it, or the interest rate has gone, or the owner's got fed up with you, and that's what was happening. Whereas William very much is a fire, aim, ready sort of person, rather than ready, aim, fire. Whereas I'm ready, aim. You sure you're ready? Just check it again. Make sure you're absolutely ready. Let's think about firing. Now, have we got a plan for firing? So it was completely around, but we needed William going out there, taking action, and me supporting William. And then Beverley was also there, and I think the second one is like, no, what about me? And we realised that Beverley's skills, and this is something we knew about already. We've done disc profile and wealth dynamics profile.
Yeah, but there's a difference between knowing it and then knowing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you know it, but you don't really know it.
And Beverley's skill set is in people and bringing people together.
And creating things.
Absolutely. And we hadn't actually sat down and worked out what we should be doing, where we should be going, how we should be doing it. It was just a case of full steam ahead. They were trying to come on board and find a role for themselves. And as soon as Tim pointed out that we had got our business the wrong way around, based on the work that he'd done on, the personalities and discussions we'd had, and understanding us and understanding where we wanted to go, it was like the brakes had been taken off and the blinkers had been taken off, and suddenly we could see where we were going. Suddenly we could see what the possibilities were. Each of us had a role.
We'd done a lot of work before Tim, because he'd sent us some homework, and we'd done a lot of work during the 2 sessions and beforehand, all about our values and how that was going. And Tim was really getting us to think about our values and how they would fall into the vision. And I think that was really valuable for us in the second session in terms of trying to sort out what Red Door Home stood for. And once you can have what your brand stands for, and so long as it is deeply ingrained within who you are, then that is where your passion comes across. So we then designed our entire business around our values, because that's what Tim said would drive us to get investors, to get landlords, to get tenants. And he is absolutely correct. We've had people come and invest in us. I had my 50th birthday party, because I am that old. Yes, and I had a very, very old friend come to the party. Now we'd lost touch, but gained touch again during Facebook, and we've been Facebook buddies for about 15 years. It's a long time. I've known him for longer than I've known David, a long time. And him and his wife, who's lovely, came to my party, and he said, "Look, I've been watching you on Facebook. I really love what you're doing. Can we invest in you?" And it's like, yeah.
Okay. Do you insist?
He invests in us, which is brilliant. We've had suppliers give us a discount because they love what we're doing. We've had our trades turn down work and stay with us for years because they know what we're doing. The really interesting one is we have a bit of a rough and ready trades chap. He's a general trades chap called Dean, who is absolutely lovely.
So Sydney Rough Diamond.
He's got a heart of gold, but he's definitely a Gloucestershire rough chap. But in one of our latest properties, his friend's a plumber, and his friend was coming around to do the bathrooms and the boiler, and we were talking through what we wanted. And I said I wanted the boiler moved, and he was like, "No, listen to her. She wants the boiler moved. No, you've got to find somewhere else to put it because she doesn't want it here." Yeah. Okay, so we found a really good place for the boiler. And then I was talking about the bathroom. He says, "Yeah, we can just wallop some of this up. It's only a HMO." And the builder was going, "No, you can't do that." He said, "I'm not having my beautiful work go to waste on this bathroom. You've got to have a lovely, beautiful bathroom." Yes. She wants perfection. And I thought that was really nice because he'd really bought in.
He understood our vision.
He really understood our vision and what we stood for. And what's really nice is his wife has to come and inspect every house to make sure that it's right.
But we've also had some of our properties rent to rent rather than just own. Yeah. And we've even had some of our rent to rent landlords invest in our business as well.
Wow.
So the one guys, I mean, they've done it on 2 of the properties. They've put up the money to refurbish the property, and then we're paying them back over the length of the contract. So they've invested it, and it's an interest rate, but it was an interest rate that was not unreasonable. They're earning from it. We didn't have to dip in our pocket. So literally a rent to rent property where the whole of the refurbishment was financed by the owner. Absolutely everything, and it's top end, and we let them out, so that didn't cost us anything to take on and operate. So yeah, when you've got I think that was the thing that Tim did, isn't it? He was the catalyst. He was the catalyst that put us in the right place, so that we were discussing the right things in the right way with the right roles, looking at the vision that we created for our business. And then sort of, shepherding it along a bit to make sure that he, from an outside point of view, as a coach should do, rather than telling you what to do, a coach should be there guiding you as to what to think about so you can make your own decisions.
Because we had some shepherding points with him as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had quite a few absolutely. Afterwards. It's just these 2 initial really long ones were.
Yeah, they were the real key points. And that, as I say, when I was talking about my coach that died when I was on the property course, that was one life-changing moment. Those 2 sessions with Tim were another life-changing moment, because had we have not done that, I think Red Door Homes would have fallen flat on its face. We wouldn't have got going. If we did, we might have got 1 or 2 properties. We certainly wouldn't have had the sort of clear vision that we've got. We wouldn't have had the investors that we got. And we'd have just, I don't think we would have grown, because it was 2 years ago now that we did that. And in that space, that space, we went from nothing to the point where our rent roll now is about £25,000 a month. It's a reasonable sized property business, and still growing. And we've got opportunities with other landlords who are literally. I mean, we got one this morning.
Yeah, we've had 2 this morning. I didn't tell you.
You didn't tell me the other one. Okay. But literally people emailing us, ringing us up, saying, "Look, this is what we're looking to do. Would you be interested?"
And what would you say to people who, like, to see the transformation there with you and your business and the clarity? It's brilliant. Obviously, there's an investment that comes with, not just financial investment, but time and commitment, and you working on that. And for some people, they can see the value, but they're just not sure about who to pick or whether it's going to be worth it. What would you say to people who are considering working with Tim?
I think you've got to choose your coaches that you resonate with.
Yeah.
You've really got to talk to them a lot before you pick which coach you're going to have, because there are lots of coaches out there.
Yeah.
Now, we thought we were going to Tim to work out how we could get investors, and he ended up not doing that. He ended up completely transforming our business, which was fantastic. But then it did draw in investors. He did what he said on the tin. So you've got to talk to your coaches, talk to other people that they've coached, and do you get a good feeling about them? Do you feel you can work with them? And I think one of the really key things is your coach should listen and actively listen. If you've got a coach who's doing all the talking, they're not a very good coach. And that's really what Tim is fantastic about. He just sets that question, and then it sets your brain off thinking. And it was really interesting. We were sat around a table, the three of us, well, the four of us because of Tim as well. And it was almost like, you know, when you're in a therapy session and they pass the pen and you're only allowed to talk if you've got the pen. It was like that. And it's not your turn to talk now, it's this person's time. But it was actually really beneficial because you were able to get off your chest things that may have been niggling. And I learned, you know, I mean, me and David have been together for 30 years now, and I learned stuff about him that I'd not realised. I thought he was being quite negative at times, and he wasn't. He was just mulling things over and thinking. And it's only by Tim telling us this that we were able to think about it.
Yeah.
So always listen. Do you resonate with your coach?
Yeah.
And do they actively listen to what you are saying? Because they need to really understand where you're coming from, so that you can then work with them and they can help you.
And I think the point that follows on from that is that for a coach, they don't need to have been where you are trying to get to. So Tim has never built a big HMO business. Does it matter? Absolutely not. Because what Tim did was look at us here and what we were thinking and what our attitude was and where we were focused, not telling us how to set up an HMO, how to go and attract landlords, how to go and talk. He wasn't telling us that. He was looking at our attitude, because those are problems for us to solve the way our business needed to solve. Whereas Tim was looking at solving our internal business problems, if you like, or our internal attitudinal problems, not the technical stuff. So as a coach, they don't need to be anywhere. So I could recommend Tim, whether they're in property, whether they're plumbers, whether they're, you know, whatever business, it doesn't matter. The fact that Tim, as you say, is an active listener, he can just listen and go, and he's just got this knack for going, but we thought about that, and you go, oh yeah. And it's like, and all of a sudden everything, the clouds lift, and you suddenly realise what the key thing is that was stopping you.
And in terms of value, you know, it did cost us to have those sessions. It was quite it was quite an expense, and an expense that we didn't have the cash flow there at the time to pay for it. So it was a huge risk for us to do. But just imagine if we'd not done that, we wouldn't have created Red Door Homes. We wouldn't now be able to create the business that we're now creating. William wouldn't have the confidence that he's got to go and create his own business now. Yeah. So how much value do you put on that? Once you click with the right coach, you know, that's it. You will click, and the value will become very much apparent. You may have to kiss a lot of frogs, but that's where you make sure you have a lot of conversations with the coach beforehand, befover you start paying over something.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I think that's a good place to wrap up. And it's great to hear that you've had, you know, such value out of the time with Tim. So brilliant.
Yeah, thank you very much. I can't recommend him highly enough, I have to say. He's good.
Fantastic. Thank you. So for anyone who's listening, then there is a link on the page. So please click if you would like to find out more about working with Tim. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to receive notifications. We look forward to seeing you again very soon.